You're listening to Ricky and Jimmy on Relationships, the show where we uncover the thoughts and behaviors that are sabotaging your relationship and what you can do about it. Jimmy and I are passionate about sharing the ways that imperfect partners like you and I can shift unhealthy relational dynamics and create closeness. So welcome. Drop your defenses and open your heart, eyes, and ears. Let's learn how to be the best partner we can be together.
And we're back. That was very radio-y. Should I keep it in, Ricky?
Well, we need some fanfare because this is the first new episode for a while.
Yeah, it has. I'm so sorry about that. We'll do a better job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Yeah. I think it's both of us. It's me. It's more me than you, if anything, but we're glad to be back. Is this live? Are we doing this? Is this the real thing?
It can be.
Okay. It can be, I guess.
My kids are all back in school. So, we can buckle down and put out some good stuff. Today, we're talking about a really near and dear pattern to my heart. It's called the burnt out pursuer. People might know it a little bit more as the pursuer distancer cycle, but we really want to hone in on and empathize with and give practical tools for the burnt out pursuer. Do you want to enlighten people a little bit about what that is, or I can just keep rambling?
Sure. No, your rambling's good. So in the pursuer distancer dynamic, this is our anxious and avoidant couple. We've got one partner who is trying relentlessly to close the gap and close the distance. That's the anxious partner, the pursuer. And then you've got the distancing partner who is trying to maintain their safety and autonomy. They're trying to get space. It's not necessarily that they don't want to be in the relationship, but closeness feels smothering and a little bit dangerous for them. So we've got one partner always taking a few steps in and the other partner always taking a few steps back. And the burnt out pursuer is when that partner who's always taking steps in is like, man, this feels like I'm not getting anywhere. This is exhausting, maybe pointless, maybe hopeless. I'm going to stop taking the steps in, and they stop moving in toward the relationship. This is a crisis point for many relationships, or the point where the distancing partner finally turns around and tries to get close again, which starts the cycle over.
I love that. And even though I hate that because I know that cycle, I love the way that you explained it. And
Thank you.
And I love tracking back and figuring out how can I possibly interrupt this cycle so other people don't have to go through it, because unfortunately a lot of people that are listening to this have already gone through that cycle and they have been the burnt out pursuer, and they know that pain of like, I put so much into this relationship, and then the one time when I finally say, you know what, I'm all done, I'm not putting any more effort into this. I'm either just going to match your energy, which is just low energy, go with the flow, who really cares, I don't need closeness, I don't whatever, fine, I'll just match that and we'll just be roommates or whatever. And then that is the final catalyst that finally gets that person to pay attention and do a little bit of changing or something. And that can feel even more discouraging. Like, do I have to literally beg you to just, like, you're doing the things that I asked you to do now that I said, I'm all done with this relationship or whatever the case may be. But it fascinates me because I've lived that, and I just keep going back and thinking, what are some little things that I could have done differently? And anyways, so that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Good for our audience to know, if they haven't been with us a long time, that Jimmy and I both identify as the more anxious partner. So the burnt out pursuer is a role that we've both played many, many times. We're both really familiar with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I want to say right off the bat is, when I was in my burnt out pursuer, when I was in the heart of that era, when I was, I felt completely justified. So I'm going to be balancing two things today. One, I want to balance and empathize with the amount of work that you're putting in, regardless of whether you identify as anxious or avoid. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're putting work into a relationship and you feel like I'm really trying here, I'm really, I'm kind of picking up the slack. Like I'm the one that pursues the closeness and connection in this relationship. I'll be the first one to repair. I'm the first one to check in. Hey, is everything okay? Like, you know, and I feel like I have to just drag it out of them. Like, don't you also want to check in on the relationship? Don't you ever want to ask me how I'm doing? Am I okay? How am I feeling about, is there anything that I need? Do I have to bring that up to you every single time? Or can you like, I'm just saying the effort that you're putting into to this relationship deserves to be acknowledged. And while I can also hold space for the other side of the balance, what do you call two things that you're balancing on the
Dynamic.
scale? It's like, you also feel very self-righteous. There's a lot of self-righteousness here, and there's a lot of righteous indignation. At least there was for me, where I'm like, where part of the burnt out pursuer is you're really angry, and you have a right to be angry because of all the work that you've put in that you feel like is not being acknowledged, and you stepped into the vacuum, you moved in towards it because there was a dead space. So you went into it, and you overextended. And when you overextend for long enough with no real appreciation and no real reciprocation, that only has one path. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. The overarching theme of this is when you overextend like that, when you don't honor your own boundaries and needs, then you're gonna, the path leads towards resentment and bitterness. And, for me, it was ultimately detachment of the relationship. Oh, well, this can't work. I tried so hard. We've gone through the cycle over and over again where I kind of capitulate, and I'm like, I'm begging you for something, and then you finally change for a period of time, and then we go right back into the same cycle. And then once I get to the point in my head where I move past anger into despair and hopelessness. And that's the burnt out pursuer, when the anger is no longer motivating you, and now you're like, I don't even know if I want this to work. And then when they come at you and they're like, I'll do anything, you're like, I don't even know if I want you to do anything. And that's true burnt out detachment. I don't have feelings for you anymore because I've grieved those. And so it's a really dark place, especially to come back from. It's a really dark place. And so anyways, that's what we're going to be.
Hey, I love that you validate the experience of the burnt out pursuer too, because from a very human standpoint, feeling anger and frustration when we're trying something over and over again and not getting good results or results at all. Anger and frustration are the natural emotional response to that. And also despair and detachment are also a natural response to feeling so much anger and resentment for so long. That's not sustainable. We can't keep it up. So of course, eventually we feel like setting that massive weight down, going, I can't carry this on my back alone anymore. And I'm done. Yeah.
And so often, I mean, for me, I know that I just had a fear of abandonment. And it's weird to even say that, because it's like, as an adult, it's weird to think about being like afraid of, but I was afraid of my relationships. That is a little weird, ending.
Jimmy.
Yeah. It is weird.
I mean, we don't think of ourselves as, a small child needing someone to take care of us, but we carry that part of us with us,
at least some of us do. Yeah.
Some of us
it's a very real part. I never wanted my relationships to end. I was thinking about this the other day. This is kind of like a off topic, but I think I only dated seriously like six or seven women. And the only one that I broke up with, which is just classic anxious attachment, you'll be like, yep. The only one that I broke up with was the only one that was actually willing and interested and excited to meet my emotional needs for intimacy and connection. And I lost attraction. I lost attraction for her after a couple months, because she didn't follow the script that I needed, which is, no, I chase you. You convince me that I'm not good enough. This is a whole different script of you being like, I want to meet your needs. I want to know what they are. And I was like, ooh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You don't think there's something wrong with me enough to neglect me. What's wrong with you?
You must not be able to see it. You must not be able to see the damaged, unlovable essence that is me.
Fascinating.
What a good reminder for the anxious listeners, who might think that this safety and security and responsiveness is the number one thing that they want. But if we look into our past, so many of us, when we get that or when we find it, we reject it. So this pursuer distancer cycle that we hate so much tends to be the one that we kind of look for, not on purpose, but it's the one that feels safe and comfortable and familiar, even if it also feels awful.
Yeah.
It's good for the anxious audience to know this about themselves, because this pursuer distancer dynamic, it's our deep down fears that are running the show with this and causing these behaviors. That's for the anxious partner and for the avoidant partner. And that's one of the things that helped me get out of the cycle with my partner the most, was to understand that he wasn't running because he was like some sort of awful villain that wanted me to suffer. He was running from fear, which was the same emotion that was driving me to over contact and criticize and, try to pull him closer all the time. We were both being run by fear.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for both sides now on the other side of it, but I can still empathize with the pursuer just thinking, why is it always my job? Why do I have to carry all this weight? And the truth is, you don't have to carry the weight. That's what nobody pressed me on. If I was like, why do I have to do all this? Why do I have to carry all this weight? If someone was like, well, you don't have to. And I'd be like, well, yeah, I do. Unless what are you saying? Like, the relationship would just end if I didn't do that. Yeah. And they would say, it might need to end if you feel like you're not, if you genuinely feel like they're not capable of reciprocation, if you've had those conversations over and over again. And I'm not saying, I know this is not about like, how do I know when to end a relationship or a marriage? Like, we're not having that conversation. I'm just saying that when I was dating people and I was getting caught in these similar cycles, I never wanted the relationship to end. I felt like I would do anything to keep this relationship. And that is a key problematic area that that if I met someone now that was dating, I would be like, hey, you don't need to like try so hard to keep that relationship. Like, some relationships aren't for you. And when you have anxious attachment, true anxious attachment, you're like, I need this to work. I need this to work. Cause it's
there's no alternative. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's not even fear of abandonment isn't even the right word, because I would stay in relationships that I knew I didn't even want to necessarily be in. And I wasn't afraid of being abandoned per se. I was just like afraid of like, I don't know. I thought about this. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is my light bulb is flashing over my head. When you don't feel like you can take care of yourself, you need somebody else there. Even if they're doing a really bad job, they're better than nothing, which is what you feel about yourself and your ability to fulfill your own needs,
Yeah. And you know what I thought of the other day that I thought was actually pretty reflective and on point. I thought probably the reason why I wouldn't end a lot of those relationships is because I didn't want them to feel like I was abandoning them. And that's like such I don't like to use the word toxic empathy, but like that's part of like the toxic empathy, or toxic is a bad word, maladaptive empathy.
Maladaptive. There you go.
Where it's like, I don't want you to feel bad, so I will do anything so that you don't have to feel bad. I will suppress my own needs. I will avoid having difficult conversations with you. I will just completely abandon myself so that for the sake of this relationship. But then at the same time, I'm getting more and more resentful. I'm getting more and more fed up. And so it's a fascinating cycle. But my point in all that was
sweet. It's kind of sweet in that you're, the biggest pain that you can imagine for yourself, you don't want to inflict that on someone else. But at the same time, you're projecting the things that you hate and fear into their head. And that might not even really be how they feel about it. So
true. Not to mention the fact that when you are in a frustrated space, when you are in a resentful, even if you're trying not to be, even if you're trying to make the relationship work still, that stuff just leaks out of you. Like you can't you can't just be resentful and then it not affect. So then that starts the cascade of the negative cycle that we talk about all the time on here, which is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be snippy with you, and I'm going to be passive aggressive, and I'm going to be critical, and I'm going to be short with you. And if you don't have a partner that is self-reflective and empathetic and can see through that, which most partners can, I don't care what you want to label them, just most people cannot see through to, when you were short with me, I bet that there's some pain under there, and I want to see it. I want to hear it. Most people don't do that. But so if you don't have a partner that does that, then they're just going to take what you said at face value. And you were short with them, and they're going to go, why are you treating me like this? I don't deserve this. Listen, nothing's ever good enough for you. Everything's always got to be a huge deal. And now we're in a conflict because of your resentment, because you aren't able to like be vulnerable about how you're actually feeling, set healthy boundaries around. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it's a massive cascade that started all the way at the top of just like, I don't really know what my needs are. I don't really know how to advocate for them. I don't really feel safe. I don't really trust the closeness that I'm getting. And I just want to say one more point that popped into my head earlier. We pick on the anxious people just as much as we pick on the avoidant people. But if you're in a relationship where someone just like dips out and is terribly inconsistent, and you really care about this person, you're dating them, and they just kind of they dismiss what you have to say. You feeling really anxious about that connection doesn't make you have anxious attachment. Like, we just need to remind you that some people, with the way that they're acting, like that would make anyone feel very unsafe and so be careful. Just label, I must have anxious attachment because I really hate it when my partner never calls me back and like, ghosted me for days on end and completely dismisses my feelings. No, you might not have anxious attachment. You might just be in a relationship with a jerk, and you are you feeling the effects of that. But the last thing I'll say is, because I know I'm rambling, what makes all the difference is, what do you do now? Because I had anxious attachment. Somebody could treat me like that, and I would go, maybe I just need to find the right words to. Maybe I need to. The thought never crossed my mind. Maybe you need to leave. Maybe this person isn't for you.
Or that maybe their behavior is the reason that you're feeling like this, and it's a reasonable way to feel. Yeah.
And
I never thought
fix
that.
And if I just learn about their behavior, I can fix it for them.
Right.
They don't want to be fixed.
No one wants to be fixed, right? But that said, there is a lot that we can do ourselves to kind of turn the cycle around.
Let's talk about how to interrupt that cycle.
Exactly. That's what everybody wants. So for either partner, either the anxious or the avoidant partner, or let's throw those labels out, the person who feels like they're working too much and the person who feels like they're being nagged to work. Deep down, those fears that are running the show, we need to find them and follow them all the way down the rabbit hole to figure out what it is that we're actually afraid of. So Jimmy and I have done a ridiculous amount of reading and self-reflection. We know what our fears are deep down, but a lot of the folks listening might not have a pinpoint on exactly what it is that they are afraid of. Abandonment certainly is a very palpable fear in your head, but let's follow that down, right? I think back to a time at the beginning of my relationship when my husband was not calling me back very much, right? And I would think, well, obviously, I'm afraid that he's going to leave this relationship. But that's a surface level fear, right? We're going to go down the rabbit hole. Okay, he's not texting me back. What do I think? Where is my catastrophic brain going with this? He's not texting me back because he hates talking to me. He doesn't like hanging out with me. Nobody likes hanging out with me. I am going to be alone with no one to talk to. No one's going to hold me when I'm sad. See, when I follow those fears all the way down, I can get to the bedrock and the bottom of what it is that I'm actually afraid of. I'm afraid that my partner won't be there to talk to me when I really need someone to talk to.
For sure.
So, on the avoidant side, the distancing partner, I hate to put words in his head, but this is just a hypothetical situation. So the partner who is not returning the phone calls or the texts with good regularity, they might say, I just wish that my partner would get off my back. That's a surface level fear, right? Deep, deep down, they might say, okay, they're constantly texting, they're constantly calling. I feel like they're checking up on me all the time. Like maybe I'm doing something wrong. I feel like they don't trust me. I feel like they need to monitor my behavior. That's down at the bottom. I feel smothered by their checking. And that we're looking for those deep down fears, because when we can pinpoint them, that's when we can ask for what we really need. Because if you're trying to tell your partner, hey, just don't text me as much, that's not what you really need. What you really need is to feel like they trust you. And if for the anxious partner, it's not that what did I say? I just wish he'd text me back. That doesn't really scratch that itch. What I need to feel is that he likes to talk to me and that he'll be there when something's really wrong. We got to get down beneath the surface level things that we think are bothering us.
Yeah, that's so good, because there might be an avenue where, and you've talked about this before, but there might be an avenue where someone is like, hey, I don't like this avenue towards reassuring you, but I am capable of these other avenues. And that might work for you. Like, oh, okay, I can put that one, and then I'll take these other two. Because at the end of the day, like you said, I just want to be reassured that you actually want to talk to me. And he might be able to do that in other ways that that you can accept. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I want to caution the audience against all these little Band-Aids that are trying to take care of our surface level worries. There's a reason those aren't scratching the itch, and we're repeating these things over and over again because they're not addressing the actual deep, dark fears that we're bothered by. In the beginning, I could have asked my partner to, hey, I need you to text me back immediately as soon as I text you, which would have been something that I would have told him, and it wouldn't have made me feel better. And so that would have contributed to that cycle where he feels like nothing I do is good enough.
Absolutely.
I'm not asking for the actual thing that I want, which is a feeling of trust that when I really need you, you're going to be there.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah. And because, I forgot what I was going to say, I
have more if you need me to.
And because you would feel like you're kind of controlling him anyways. Like if you're like, I need you to text me back at this time, even if he did it, you'd be like, it wasn't his idea, so I can't trust it.
Oh, totally.
Anyways. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That wouldn't have scratched that itch anyway. Yeah. So we get down to the very bottom of the fear. And you don't have to do that exercise with your partner. You can do that with yourself. Chase that fear all the way down the rabbit hole. Try to find what's really at the very, very bottom of what you're afraid of. And then now is the difficult part. Once you find it, I find it through journaling too. I know not everybody loves that, but after I get enough pages written about something, I get to the bottom of it. Yeah. Now is the difficult part. We share that with our partner. We share that actual fear with somebody. And that should strike a little bit of fear into your heart, because that's a pretty vulnerable thing to do. Be able to sit down with your partner and say, hey, you know how I'm always asking you to text? I found out what I'm actually afraid of, and I want to share that with you. Not because I'm looking for you to fix it, but because I've identified it. And I think I'm kind of keeping us stuck in a cycle here that I don't want to contribute to.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the hardest, especially when we're talking about burnt out pursuers, one of the hardest things is that maybe you're the only one listening to this episode. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're the only one. You're like, and even though it like helps you to like conceptualize it, and it helps you to like, oh yeah, okay, because everybody kind of likes to understand why their behavior makes sense. Everybody kind of likes to feel validated when somebody tells them like, you deserve consistency, you deserve somebody who like reciprocates the energy that you're putting in. We all like to be like, yes, that's so true, especially as pursuers. But it's really tricky if you're the only one watching this and you're like, that's all well and good, but like, I don't want to just be the only one that like figures out my deep fears and then communicates them, because you're so scared. And you might have a legitimate fear here where you're like, okay, cool. What's the best case scenario here? Like, I mean, well, we know the best case scenario. What's the actual realistic scenario? I'm going to communicate that to my partner, who is potentially avoidant, potentially the distancer. And best case scenario, they're going to go, Okay. That's it. That's literally all you're going to get, because you're hoping in that moment, you're still hoping like, okay, but I need you to like really see me. Like, I need you to like ask some questions. I need you to like, I want you to understand this with me. And so I might be going off on a tangent, but I'm just speaking
No, you're
to
not.
myself.
This is a great point. This is a great point, Jimmy. And I'm sure you're speaking for the audience members who are thinking exactly that. So I want you to do that, because I've got some troubleshooting in that scenario too.
Yeah. But the only point that I was going to make is that sometimes, when you communicate that and you're like, hey, you can tell them your deepest, darkest fears, you can tell them, but we have to remember people can only meet us as deep as they've met themselves, or they have, or how much interest they have in even going deep. If they struggle with that stuff, they might not,
that could be
that
hard
stuff
to hear.
makes them really uncomfortable. Like that level of vulnerability. One, because an avoidant partner sees your vulnerability, even when you're not leading with any sort of aggression or whatever, they're immediately thinking, I'm not cut out for this. It's like me playing basketball. It's like me joining a basketball. I don't play that much basketball. Like I'm better at other sports. So if I was on a team and all of the other guys were great basketball players, and I was just like joining the team, I'm like, I'm feeling terrified of this. Like I'm gonna make myself look stupid. They're gonna be upset with me. So sometimes when you're deeply vulnerable and you're like, hey, honey, I've been doing a lot of thinking and I want to have this vulnerable moment with you. They're like, oh God. They're like, this is terrifying, because I'm going to let you down, because this is uncomfortable for me. I don't know what you want me to say. That's why they go, okay.
Right.
Or if you ask them a question, well, what do you think about that? I don't know why I'm doing a girl's voice. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
I was the one asking those questions. So I'm like, well, what do you think about that? And they would be like, I don't know. That's why you hear an avoidant say, I don't know, over and over, because they don't know. They're very uncomfortable with what you're doing right now. So all I'm saying is that sometimes, and Ricky wasn't insinuating this, but the solution isn't just be vulnerable, because sometimes the answer that you get needs to be a clue on whether or not this is a relationship that you feel comfortable. If someone's not meeting you to the emotional intimacy level that you hope they are, then this isn't, let me see how I can drag them up here. It's more like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is a compatibility issue, and that's not that bad. And of course, that's really difficult what if I've been married to them for 12 years and we have 4 kids together? Okay, well, that's tricky, but I'm just saying that don't be afraid, especially as anxious attachers, if you're dating somebody and they don't meet you at the level of emotional intimacy that you feel like is necessary, don't take that extra step. Well, it's okay. I'll just do their work for them. Like, no.
Right.
No.
Got it. And partners, I always love talking to the married couples too, because I am one. Right?
Yeah.
So I relate to them. But so I have that partner. I have the I don't know partner. So I want everybody to know that you too, is that what you said? So it's not like Jimmy and I are married to therapists, right? Who are like really good at receiving this stuff. No, I mean, even now, 6 years in, when I say, hey, Chris, I've got a really vulnerable share for you, he's not like rubbing his hands like, oh boy, this is going to be amazing. He's like, here we go again, Yeah,
here we go. Yeah.
So what I like to do is I always make sure that I have these conversations at a time when he's open to them. That's key, right? I'm not starting this conversation as soon as we're getting ready to walk into a dinner party or when he's trying to fall asleep at night, So
good.
This is a time when we're walking the dog, conversations flowing, things are good. I preface it with how much I care about him, because usually in the beginning, he used to say those conversations would feel like an attack no matter how nicely I phrased them. So I make sure to say like, man, you're my guy, like you're my person. And because of that, I found something that we're doing lately that feels a little icky. I think I've identified my part of it. I want to lay that on you. Are you ready for that? And then he'll go, okay, hit me with it. I think that the way that we set that conversation up can really help encourage success if we do it in a smart way.
And especially if you're dealing with somebody who's a distancer or avoidant attacher, or whatever the case may be, and you've decided, well, yeah, they do have some fear. I recognize that. Like they have some fear around this stuff. It's so important to make sure that and Ricky does a really good job. She mentions this all the time, but give them an avenue to where they can win. Like, Like,
Yes.
I'm not just telling my wife things that I wish that she would do differently, especially in the like intimacy realm. I'm like telling her all the ways that she could show up that would be like that would feel so amazing. Like, this is a way that you can win. I'm giving you the roadmap, and I get it. There's a lot of people listening that are like, I've given him or her the roadmap. They don't care to walk the path that I have. And I get that. Like, that's unfortunately part of their free will. They don't have to follow your roadmap.
Right.
Now, is that going to lead to disconnection in the relationship? It might, because if you're telling somebody, hey, these are the boundaries I have, these are the needs that I've identified, that I need certain things in a relationship to feel valued, safe, loved. And they're like, I don't really want to follow any of that. And it's like, okay, you can choose that option, but like, that's going to cause a lot of like strife in our relationship. Like, I'm not going to,
Absolutely.
there's consequences to our actions. So I'm always on team both people. Like, if I was talking to the distancer, I'd be like, hey, do you want a relationship with them that's like mutually fulfilling, and you want them to like lay off your back, and you want slack on the line? And they're like, yeah, I want more slack on the line. Cool. Here are the things that you do to get slack on the line. And like, you need to do X, Y, and Z and do all these things. And then I would tell the other person, like, and then if they're doing those things, you need to give them slack on the line. Like, so yes, there's things that we all need to do in ourselves, but if we're talking about a partnership, like, of course, I'm not going to neglect the aspect of like, the only way we can create true safety and trust in the relationship is by having continued moments where we are vulnerable and we feel held and heard. So like, that's vital for our relationships. So don't forget to continue advocating for that, not in a mean way, just in a, I need that to feel safe in my relationship. I need to feel like I can bring things up to you and feel held and heard, you know?
Yes.
And then
Even
show
if
them
it's
what that is.
frustrating.
Show them how they can win in that area.
So I want to warn the receiving partner who's on the other end of this request is that your partner, when they lay out the path for success for you, they're probably going to ask for something outside of your comfort zone. So 100%. I'm just warning you right now, it's never going to be something super simple like, oh, I was already thinking of doing that anyway. No, it's going to be something that might be scary. It might be really uncomfortable. It might be awkward. It might be cringy, as the kids say, you know. That's what they want. And if you're being a good partner, good reciprocal partner, you might even solicit them like, hey, is there something outside of my comfort zone that I could maybe practice giving you? And that kind of helps. That's the sugar that goes down with the medicine that always helped my partner. When I would make a request, I would usually say, is there something that I can do too that I haven't been doing, or I've been doing poorly, that might help make this weird thing that you're going to try a little bit easier, you know?
I love that. Yeah, big time. So I don't know, you probably had other avenues to go there, but I just wanted to make sure that we were covering, now that we're getting into like the real meat of this episode. Like, so let's back up real quick and let's go through quickly. If someone was like, okay, well, I don't want to be a burnt out pursuer. I'm not there yet. So like, what do I need to do? Do you want to take it from the top of just like, okay, well,
yeah. Yes, I do. I had a big thought about an hour before we jumped on here. And I remembered my time as a burnt out pursuer, or quickly on the way to becoming one. I didn't realize that I had tons and tons of secret rules that I never communicated to my partner. And I feel like that's one of the things that turned me into a burnt out pursuer, because I had all these things in my head that I needed him to do, that I wanted him to do, never communicated them, and then hated him for not doing it or doing it poorly. So I think one of the best things that you can do as that anxious partner who's always trying to close the gap and get more closeness is to really practice talking about the ways that a relationship would feel good for you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm making a whole boatload of requests all the time, but just to become vocal about what feels good, that can be very helpful to partners who are probably completely different than you are. And when I say probably, I should say literally every time. The person that you're in a relationship with does not have the same brain as you. Yeah. So they don't get the same They don't get the same dopamine hits from the things that you do. They don't know what they're doing wrong most of the time. So getting verbal about what feels good and what you like, especially what they do right, boy, that can really give you some positive traction. Getting verbal about that stuff
I really love that.
can help keep you from.
I don't want to take too much because I want to hear step 2, whatever you have. But
yeah, no, go. Let's hear it, Jimmy.
Yeah, I wasn't verbal about. I think what I realized later is that I have a whole bunch of expectations that I wasn't really communicating. And some people would push back and be like, yeah, but they're basic expectations. I'm asking them to like text me back they can't wait days to text me back. That's a normal expectation that I'm allowed to have. Yes. However, are you communicating that? And then when they show you with their actions, I don't adhere to that expectation, then now what do you do? Do you just blame them? Do you just get resentful? But you're like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I just want you to identify some of these things, communicate them vulnerably, and then you decide, hey, this might not work for me, because they don't have to adhere to your expectations. They do not have to. It is not your job to force someone to agree to your expectations. Yeah, but that's a normal thing for people to. It doesn't matter. They're allowed to make their own choices in life. So it's your job to show them the roadmap. Part of the roadmap is, here are the things that, I mean, expectations is a tough word because it's got a lot of weight to it. But just between us, they're expectations. And if if people don't meet them, you're upset. And if people do meet them, I hope that you're appreciative, but sometimes we're not, because that's just the bare minimum. That's just the baseline. So we have to make sure that we're appreciative when people meet our expectations, and then we're clearly communicating and identifying them on this other end. Yeah. And then not holding them accountable to things that they never agreed to. They never agreed to that standard. So this is fun experiment. I don't know if other people are as weird as I am about this stuff, but I like to cruise the relationships subreddit. I've never done that. Sounds fun. Oh, it's a blast. I've had my mind blown every time that I've done it by what kind of things people think are normal, or things, there 100%. Are all sorts of different relationships in this world, the way that they look and the way that they act. Some people think it's completely normal to not text their partner for a few days. These are probably people who are in a relationship but don't live together. Jimmy, there's people who only see each other once a month and they like it, like that's working for them. It's just, it's not good form to just assume that your partner thinks that everything that you like and want is totally normal, because the way that they might set up an ideal relationship could be completely different from you. And that doesn't mean that you guys are, well, you're different, you're incompatible, this is hopeless. That's not what that means. You're just two different people who have two different ways of doing things. And when we love each other and we want to build something together, we find ways to compromise or make things work for both people. Yeah. And that's the key. If you both love each other, like, I don't do counseling, I'm not a counselor, I'm just fascinated with relationships in general. But if I had two people sitting down that were like, yeah, we're struggling in these certain areas, then I'm going to make both of them bend. It's like, okay, if you love each other and if you want this relationship to work, I have no delusions on what is required for relationships. Are tough. Like, they're just tough. Mashing two different people into one box and being like, okay, make it work. It's like, that's a big job. So much. Yeah. There's so much that could go wrong. There's so much. So it's like, so we both have to be like, prioritizing and protecting the bond. Like our bond is important. And so if you don't have someone that,
This is the part where I mentioned my boy Stan's couple bubble, right? And a quote that he made. Yeah, we love Stan. Stan Tatkin says that a relationship is it's not one person and it's not the other person. It's a completely new entity. It's a new entity. It's going to look different from both people. It's a new thing that we create together. Yeah. And if you want a relationship, it's not you turning the other person into your exact bubble. It's a new thing that you create. It's going to be a little bit of you and a little bit of them.
And if I can just say, I know this is probably something I should have said in the beginning, but we probably touched on it. My problem is I would get into a relationship and I was pretty good. I don't mean to get too vulnerable on this, but I was pretty good about not getting sexual too early. I was I was just one of those guys that I wanted to wait, but I will admit that played a role once it did happen. I felt very bonded to this person, and
Okay. Yeah.
even if it was after who knows how long. I mean, I don't remember how long, couple months, whatever you want to call it. You still don't really know someone after 2 months of dating them. Like you just don't know them. And so when you feel bonded to this person, I say all that and I put myself out there and be vulnerable because because it's really quite dangerous to feel so bonded to someone that you're dating for 2 months. And the problem with feeling those feelings of just like deep bonded hormones with this person is that you, one, like I said, you don't know them. And two, you're kind of both putting on the best versions of yourself. So you don't know them when the chips are down. You don't know them when the stress is high and the conflict comes up. And you haven't created any of these agreements. You haven't talked about any expectations. And well, one, because you're kind of scared to. You don't want to be seen as too needy. You don't want to like push them away. Yada yada. But really, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, well, first of all, don't bond so heavily to somebody that you don't even know. This is why it's so dangerous to be sexual too early. It has nothing to do with your like sexual liberation. Like, yeah, you do you, boo. But at the same time, you're creating, it's difficult to incorporate that aspect of a relationship and not feel bonded to them. And even if you could do that, even
people,
if you,
yes.
for some people, and even if you could say, no, I can do that and still not feel bonded, I would say that probably creates a separate problem where you probably,
yeah, for sure.
Like you probably have some avoidant tendencies and you're the person that we're talking to on this
Right.
where it's like, so, it can create problems on both ends is what I'm saying. And I just wish that, there was a little bit more, as an anxious person, I was kind of very quickly thrown into, I need to make this relationship work. And that was dangerous. You don't need to make this relationship. Why, hold on. Why are you doing that? Well, I feel bonded to them. Okay. Well, you shouldn't feel bonded to them. You don't know them. That's a difference. Sure. That's a difference. Then I'm excited to see where this relationship goes. Because then you get trapped in, do I even like this person or do I just want them to like me? Do I just want them to choose me? Do I just want to feel needed by this person? So it's very
well, I definitely think that folks who've been married for a long time can have those feelings too, though. You know, you're anxious. You're the clingier partner in a marriage where you've never addressed any of this stuff. You might think, I feel like I'm working too hard for this. They don't understand me. They are not putting any effort in. I'm putting all the effort in. I mean, Jimmy and I both hear this from the folks that we talk to about their relationships probably on a daily basis.
Right.
So is this a good spot to transition into things that both partners can do to help get out of the cycle? I love things
that both partners can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to preface this with, I don't need both partners to do this. So that's hope. That's some hope that I'm giving you, anxious folks who are listening to this alone. Any of this stuff that you do can help kind of change the atmosphere of the relationship, which gives it more of a chance for survival. But ideally, this is what our buddy Stan Tatkin would say. Ideally, we want both partners to be able to do these things long term because that's going to be the most sustainable. Because one person can't row the boat alone forever.
One person can't row the boat.
Right.
But you can influence a relationship in a positive direction just by yourself. Like I can change my relationship dynamics because like we say, takes two to fight. So like you could change that. You can stop fighting. You can start doing it. But that doesn't mean that you're going to build trust and safety because that unfortunately takes both people. But you can start that process.
Yes. So we'll start with the anxious partner, mostly because this is my bread and butter. This is who I love to talk to, the anxious folks, because I was one and I've kind of found my way out of that mode. For the anxious partner, getting very clear and vocal about the things that feel good in a relationship gives your partner a way to win, even if they're a little resistant to it, even if they're throwing out a lot of I don't knows. When you're clear about the roadmap of what it means to be a good partner for you, that, I don't know, it gives them it gives the couple a way out of that cycle, even if they don't take it. That's not the only way out, but it's a path. You have to be able to lean into self-soothing a little bit. Nobody wants to hear that. That's an uncomfortable thing to hear. But I used to be completely dependent on my partner to make me feel better about everything. And that wasn't his job. That's too big of a job for him. I had to learn to outsource that a little bit to myself. I had to learn to calm myself down. I had to learn to lean on my friends and family. I got a wonderful counselor. He was an excellent addition to my support crew. And all those things took a little bit of the pressure off my partner, because don't get me wrong, he does have some responsibility to reassure me and make me feel better. But it was like not anywhere close to the responsibility that I thought he had. So also leaning into a little bit more trust for your partner. That's hard to do too, but I found that the more downtime I gave him, the more leeway I gave him, the more likely he was to come close on his own. No one believes me when I say that, but with this cycle where you're chasing and pursuing, if you do take that step back, it leaves room for them to step into it. Right. And it's worth trying, it's worth trying, because some people will say, well, if I do that, I just won't hear from him. Well, you know what? Give it a try, because if you lean way too far out and they never come back, that might be a sign that you need to take a completely different path. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're certainly not doing this at any forms of, this isn't manipulation. This is just getting to a more secure place within yourself.
Yes. Yeah. I don't mean it in a manipulative way. Like, okay, I took a step back and now I'm going to set a timer
because people
to see
say
how
that,
long it, right.
People say that all the time. They're like,
oh, sure they do.
It's like a game. That's the thing about this, especially dating. Like, you got to quit the games. There isn't, don't make them do anything. Please God, don't make them do anything. Like, I need to do this so that I can get her to do, what? No. Don't, what relationship are you trying to build? I mean, honestly, what do you think is going to happen? Like, even if you can make her do certain things, even if you can make him, get him to I'm going to get him to be infatuated with me. Okay. Yeah. That's going to wear off soon. Like, that's not forever.
Right.
So
and do you want a puppet on a string, or do you want a person?
No. Yeah. Let's not confuse the long-term goals here. So
right.
Anyways, I love.
So when
I
say trusting them a little, taking some steps back, I'm not talking about game playing. I'm talking about I took up extra hobbies. That's what I had to do to distract myself from. I thought, okay, I want to take a step back, so I'm not calling him and chasing him all the time. What can I do so I'm genuinely enjoying that time and not thinking about him? And I took up a couple extra hobbies, and it was uncanny, Jimmy, how quickly he would call as soon as I hit that rock climbing wall, right? It was like my phone was like,
wanted to hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, every time. And I was like, wow, that was really effective, but not because it's game playing. It's just like, when you're not crowding up all the space, that's very attractive. They love that. And they need that.
It is very attractive.
And he felt trusted. He didn't, she trusts me to go take up a brand new hobby. She doesn't feel like she has to monitor me. This feels good.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I did want to say, if this is a place where I can interject,
I'm kind of running down on this one.
I want to give some reassurance or some whatever to people who I would hear people say well, I can't bring things up with them or something like that. Or they would just recognize the fear in them. I still get afraid when I am like, oh, I need to have a difficult conversation with Emily. I need to talk to her about something that I still get afraid. Like, that is a normal thing that we will probably all struggle with, but I still have that conversation. And I do it in a vulnerable way, and I communicate it. What I want to tell people that are like, oh, I'm too afraid, or they already have decided how it's going to play out, and they're just going to dismiss me, or it's not going to go well. Here's what I would say. By suppressing that, because I know both paths. I've walked both paths. By suppressing it, you're not avoiding anything. Suppression isn't avoiding anything. So if you're, and I can empathize with where your brain's going already. You're like, exactly, nothing will help. You're like, that's how maybe you're burnt out right now. You're like, exactly. That's why I'm feeling hopeless. Like you just described the whole thing. Like if I bring it up, I know they're going to react like this, but I also know that suppressing is just the resentment's leaking out of me and nothing. That's why I'm hopeless. I'm like, you got it, buddy. So, but for the people that are, sorry, that must have been your
That's
cat.
a cat.
But for the people, no, you're fine. But for the people that are like, yeah, like, oh, I can't have those conversations, I would just say you have to, because you can't. Yeah, it's fine. I can. Poor Ricky.
All right. My cat's punishing me for
brought to you by
Purina. Okay. No, it's I promise everything's fine. She's got the zoomies, you guys. So
perfect.
Please don't edit this out, Jimmy. People love the cat. This is real life here, and I don't mean to interrupt you with that.
No, it's fine. My point was over. The point is that you have to have those hard conversations because what's the alternative? Like, let's just be
you're
honest.
not saving yourself any pain by holding it in. That's
worst case scenario, you're practicing for the next relationship. I know that's like a terrible thing. I know that's a terrible thing. But sometimes I just like to take the argument. I like to play devil's advocate. Like, well, I can't have those conversations because they won't go well. I'm like, to be honest with you, you probably don't even know how to have them, and it's probably beneficial for you to at least learn how to have them and be vulnerable about your needs and wants and desires. Yeah. And let the chips fall where they may. And if you're like, yeah, but what if that ends the relationship? Then you practiced having vulnerable conversations.
That's
and
amazing.
Guess what? That's a great skill that you're going to take into your next relationship. Like, I'm just saying it's a win-win. It's like
relationship nihilism. You're like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can that's healthy. And in worst case scenario, I'm practicing for the next relationship.
Seriously.
I kind of love it. There's a dark part of me that kind of loves that.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to let people off the hook that are like making excuses, because I've lived that path. I've gone through the whole cycle of the burnt out pursuer, and I know how much anger and resentment and self-righteousness, and you're looking at the scoreboard, look at everything I've done for you. And all I ask is for the bare minimum. I put the bar on the floor and you still trip over it. And that's why you're the problem. And I freaking hate you. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a step back. Like from the get-go, you have put the bar on the floor for them to trip over. Why is the bar on the floor in the first place? That's what I want to know. Why is the bar on the freaking floor? And they're like, because they kept tripping over it. I had to lower it. No, you didn't. You never had to lower it. And that's not me victim blaming you. That's me trying to get to the root. Like Ricky was saying, like there's levels to this. And sometimes at the deep level is you don't even know if you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect and consideration, because it's never been modeled for you. You've never had that kind of love, and you need somebody to come along and say you deserve that type of love.
Oh, that's us. We're saying that to you right now.
Yeah, we are. Take the bar up off the floor.
So we're looking for, when we're just having these conversations anyway, even when we're afraid they're going to go badly, we're having them anyway. Sometimes they go well. And in therapy, they call those corrective experiences.
You need those.
We need them. And when you have enough of them, where you bring a problem to them and the conversation actually goes okay, a corrective experience, you gather those up. That's the path towards security. That's where we start stopping making these awful statements and behaviors that are screwing our relationships up, because we're building trust with someone. We're building trust with ourselves. Trust that we will say the things that need to be said.
I love that.
That was I couldn't let this episode pass without using the phrase corrective experiences. So
no, and I promise I won't go on another long rant, because Lord knows I love talking. But we haven't really touched on things that the other person can do. We talked about the anxious person being more vulnerable, but we haven't really touched on the distancer. And so if I can just give them we've done this in other episodes. If you ever listen to our stuff, we love talking about just emotional safety in general. We love talking about how you can show up for your partner in those difficult moments. But instead of just saying, I don't know, or instead of just saying, they say something really vulnerable and you're just like, okay. Yeah. Like, cause you don't know what to say. Cool. When you don't know what to say, I just want to put a couple things in your head. Okay. One, you can never go wrong with thank you so much for telling me that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you so much for telling me that, because you want to have an energy of I'm engaged in this. This is clearly important to your partner. If they're looking you in the eyes, or if they're not looking you in the eyes, if they're looking you in the eyes, they might even be tearing up, because this is so vulnerable for us anxious folk that you need to pick up on that stuff. You need to realize that this is such an important moment for them, and that shouldn't lead to you feeling like, oh no, I'm going to screw it up. They're going to hate me. Because now you're not thinking, you're not present. I just want you to be present. If you get nothing else other than, wow, if you're saying to yourself, this is a really important moment, they're not even looking at me. That must mean that they're almost afraid if they looked at me that they would start crying, and maybe they're feeling like they can't even cry around me. What that means, the bridge of what that means is, I want them to feel safe enough to bring things up. Okay, cool. You can say that after that person thank you so much for telling me that. Hey, that was probably really difficult. I really want you to feel like there's some safety here where you can bring that stuff up to me because it matters. That's true for you. If you have, even, I don't care what you want to label, even I don't care if you're afraid of intimacy, I don't care if you're avoidant attachment. That's true. Mm-hmm. If I said that and about you, you'd be like, yeah, of course I want that.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how to communicate it. In the moment, I get too nervous or whatever the case may be. You can write that down and just learn to show up in that way.
Here's a good one too for distancing partner. You're tongue-tied, right? Your partner's just told you something incredibly vulnerable. They're teared up. This is the most uncomfortable moment ever for you. Yeah. My partner nails it. Sometimes he just holds my hand. So he doesn't say anything. I mean, sometimes he has no idea what to say, or he's very overwhelmed by the discomfort of what I'm saying, right? I know now that that's what's happening. But when he holds my hand, he doesn't have to say anything. That lets me know that he's listening, and I can continue saying blubbery things that don't make sense, but he's listening, you know? So if you can't think of what to say, stay with them. Eye contact's always good, or just hold their hand.
Yeah.
That's leaning into this. You're not pulling away. You're not shutting down. Just hold their hand. You don't even have to say anything.
You don't have to say anything. And if you don't know what to say, you can say that. You can say, I don't know what to say here.
You can say that.
But I want you to feel like I'm present and I'm listening because I am.
Yes.
That's huge. Yes. That's huge. They're like, thank you. Or if you really want them to feel heard and understood, take something that they said and then repeat it back to them. Okay, so what you're saying is, it would really mean a lot to you if I was more randomly affectionate. That would really mean a lot to you. Yes, that would mean so much to me. Okay.
Or this is a little outside of my comfort zone, so I'm trying to understand you. What
100%.
What you just said, that's those kind of phrases.
They mean a lot.
They mean a lot.
Us anxious people, for the average anxious person, we really don't want, we're really not looking for above and beyond. We're just looking for that. We're just looking for that. We kind of know what we're working with here. And it would just mean a lot if we were thrown a bone of just that, just those couple things. Just thank you so much for telling me. I really want to be present with you. This is uncomfortable for me, but I want you to feel like I'm engaged. Here's one thing that I heard you say. And, I'm summarizing that would mean a lot to you if I started incorporating that. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Boom. You say that person. Now, if that person just continues rambling on and tells you, and now that you understand me, I'm going to hit you with 4 more things that you do wrong. Right. That's that person's problem. I would tell that person, you need to zip it. That person did a great job. You need to put a cap on this. Don't overload them because that's stupid. Don't do that.
Try not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Jimmy and I both speak for the anxious crowd when literally if you just hold our hand and listen to all our blubbering, we're like, wow, that was the best conversation ever. The bar is very low.
The bar is very low. Just look at me in the eyes and be like, just practice your empathetic eyes. No, only the people on YouTube can see. Just
Jimmy looks very empathetic right now for the folks who can't see him.
Not like you're about to cry. You don't have to fake cry. You just have to be interested. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You know.
Lately, this is fun. This is a little side quest for everyone. I have been stepping into the role of the avoidant partner lately. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Can you believe that, Jimmy? After you've been together for so many years and you achieve equilibrium, sometimes things get a little wiggly and partners start going into other roles, right? Yeah. So just this morning when Chris and I had a conflict, I recognized my part of it. And I said, what did I say? Gosh, it was awful. I was like, I was wrong to do that. And I'm sorry. And he's like, you sound like a robot.
That's so funny.
And I should have just grabbed his hand, right? You know what I mean? So
That's so funny.
I don't know where I was going with that, but sometimes the best thing is to literally just listen and hold their hand if you want them to know that you're listening. Sometimes words
that.
can get in the way. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sometimes words
helpful
can get in the way.
words. Yeah, sometimes words get in the way, but if you're an avoidant partner, then it's most likely that your silence is getting in the way. So I want to give you some words.
Right. Well, that's the thing, Jimmy. I knew I couldn't say nothing because that would have frustrated him. So I tried to say something and it came out like a robot. I probably should have just held his hand. So
I don't know. Yeah, who knows what he would have wanted in that? Can I say one thing real quick? I have 100% been guilty of the manipulation thing. So if anybody thinks that I'm like calling them out, no, like I'm classic. I'm the type of burnt out pursuer. When I said at the very beginning of the episode that like sometimes it leads to detachment, there's a part of detachment where you're just like, you know what, I don't care anymore. But there's also a part of detachment in these relationships where you're kind of pretending, you're kind of fooling yourself. You're like, fine, I don't care anymore, because you really don't want to care, but you do care so bad, so deeply. And so there was tons of times where I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I'll just match your energy and let's see what happens. And most of the time they pick up on that energy and they're like, what's wrong? You know, like, what's going on? You seem different. You seem like, is everything okay? And you're like, yeah, everything's great. Like, you know, not like you care anyways. But I'm just saying, like, I'm the king of just like, I have totally been manipulative in the past. So anybody that's like, anybody that does that, don't feel like, that I'm holier than thou, because I've totally done that. But I don't want you to do that.
No. Hey, so I've got a couple last things for the distancing partner, ways that they can lean into that space. Start revealing more of your thoughts. If you can't manage to reveal some more of your feelings. Thoughts and feelings revealed, even small amounts, those are ways that you can step into that space, and that helps to end that cycle, because the more you can share yourself and step into closeness with them, the less they're going to be hassling you. And that should sound uncomfortable. If I'm saying that and you're like, hard pass, that's where your work is, right? It's a good thing to. And start with something small. Some of the examples that I saw online were really ridiculous. Like, tell them how you feel about the cereal that you're eating. You know what I mean? Like, wow, this is really good cereal. But for folks who are really closed off, that might be a good first step. Notice that they're listening to you when you're talking about how you feel about your cereal,
Right.
Those are the first.
Usually something happens at work that made you feel something. So just try to think of one. I don't care if it's frustrated. I don't care if it's happy. You know what I met? Like, I met this person that I didn't think I would meet. And you know what? Like, that was really cool.
Or you come home from work and you're like, Jeremy was being a real tool today, and it really made me angry. Right. And they're like, oh, tell me more about that.
Right.
That's leaning into closeness. Believe it or not. It doesn't have to be all butterflies and rainbows. You could just be venting about work and noticing that they're listening to you.
Can I talk about something real quick? Do you have to go? Do you have like 5 minutes?
No, I have more than 5 minutes. Usually we apologize for the length of these, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm not
Let's
apologizing.
tell people to buckle up, because we've got some more to say.
Buckle up, buttercups, because we're only halfway through. So I hope that you're,
Right. Pause it, refresh your tea or coffee, because we've got a lot more.
Yeah, I got plenty in the tank. Well, here's one thing that we haven't talked about that we have to talk about. Because this is real. This is real. Burnt out pursuer, the cycle could really wreck your relationship unless certain things. It can end it. It can end it for sure. And these are real important relationships. So we haven't talked necessarily about like the healing side of this. We've talked about how to identify it. We've talked about, things that to prevent it so it doesn't happen to you. But we haven't really talked about the people that are in it and they're like, cool, is there hope for me on this other end? So if we could dive into that just a little bit. The things that come up for me personally is, one, you need to get in touch with your anger in a healthy way, because I was very, very angry. You mentioned earlier in the episode something about like hating, like you might have been joking, but you were talking to Chris like, and I hate you that you did that, or I hate that whatever.
Oh, did I say hate? Gosh,
I think you did. I don't know. People love to, but that was true for me. Like there was a point where I hated some of my people that I was in relationships with because of how unfair I felt like they had treated me, and how much I had tolerated, and how much I had given, and how much I felt like they had taken. And so there was resentment is an easy euphemism, but but there was a part of me that like hated them. I hate you for how you've neglected me. And so that doesn't just go away. Like even if you go to couples counseling, you really have to get in touch with that anger in a healthy way and like learn to honor it, but also not let it like consume you to the point of,
you know how we honor our anger? Because that might be like a confusing statement for folks who haven't done work with anger, right? Anger is the emotion that's meant to protect us. We feel anger when we feel like we've been wronged or we're putting energy into something that's not working. So to honor our anger, first we notice it, right? I got really good at pretending that it wasn't there when I was younger. First we notice it. And second, we ask it, what is this trying to protect me from, right? What's happening here? And how am I contributing to this? What can I personally do to get myself outside of this so that I'm not beating my head against the wall or running into this situation again and again? That's how we honor the anger. We recognize it. You can even make it into a person standing in front of you and say, what are you trying to tell me by being here?
I'm trying to tell you that your needs are going unmet. You're being taken for granted. Like your anger is trying to tell you all sorts of things.
And then I say, how am I contributing to that?
No, you touched on such a massive, important point of just taking accountability for my part of the cycle, because I was hesitant. I'd be like, my part of the cycle? You mean how they neglected me over and over? You mean how I,
that's a skit right there, Jimmy. I love that. That's a moment.
You mean how I asked them for the bare minimum and they refused to give it to me? Oh, you want me to take my responsibility from my side? And that's where I was talking about before, that sometimes we got to get down to our deep fears and take accountability for, you know what? I didn't advocate for myself. I was scared to have certain conversations because of the way that I was afraid that you were going to react. But that's actually on me. I can't just suppress everything because of how scared I am that you're going to react and think that that's like holding a big balloon underwater. Like eventually that thing's coming up and it's going to come up with vengeance. So, so we have to take accountability for that. I let those things happen. And while I want to blame my partner for them 100%, there is part of it that I have to take accountability for. And that's kind of how I get in touch with that anger, where I can honor that anger and I can also take accountability. And that's how I can come to my partner vulnerably and say, I am really upset about this. These are the things that I've decided I need. These are my non-negotiables. I understand that this might be very overwhelming for you, but I'm at a flux point. I'm at a crucial cross in the road. What am I looking for?
Crux, I think
crux in the road. Yeah. and something has to change because this relationship doesn't work for me. And I want to build something better with you. But if that's not your vision, I'm at the point where I'm okay if that's not your vision.
Ooh, I'm so glad that you used the word blame too, because in the EFT world, when the cycle starts to get interrupted and a couple is kind of coming back together, from the anxious side, they call that blamer softening. I thought that was interesting.
Okay,
it's when the anxious partner stops pointing that finger 100% and realizes that they're actually also part of the dynamic.
Yeah.
And they're willing to change some ways that they're engaging to fix that. On the other side, they call it withdrawer re-engagement, when the distancing partner starts to actually turn back around and go, okay, I will do some things to come close. And just get nerdy for a second.
Oh, I love that. And there's so much that goes into that too, because when you've built up this mountain of resentment and blame, and that person finally turns in your direction, they're like, you know what? I am going to start giving you those things that you asked for. there's a part of you that doesn't make the anger go away either, because then you're like,
No.
now you're willing to, because we've gone to couples counseling and I was on the brink of divorce, or I threatened to break up with you. Oh, now you're willing to give me the bare minimum. Here's here's some claps for you. Like, I'm just saying that does not
so
solve.
Angry, right?
Yeah,
but that's where these corrective experiences help, right?
Yeah.
You have enough corrective experiences where the person is actually listening to you, actually coming close when you need them.
Yeah.
And that's when that starts to heal all that past anger. That starts to smooth things over and you go, okay, I can relax into this and I can trust them a little bit more. But yeah.
Well, part of the corrective experiencing is the distance or re-engagement part of it. And I'm sure this is done in counseling with a lot of nuance and a lot of sensitivity. But the distancer partner really needs to validate that the anxious partner's anger. They need to figure out a way where it's like, it makes sense that you feel so angry that you were neglected. Like, you were deprived of something that you needed, and they can take accountability for that without both of us.
Oh, sure.
Without blaming each other. But there's a part of they can take accountability for that. But I'm just saying that validation of the anger, or that validation of the frustration that your partner feels, is one of the corrective experiences that will lead to repair in the future.
In my own relationship too, I would notice that it was a lot easier for my partner to say, hey, I probably should have called you back sooner, if I took responsibility for my side of it first. And nobody wants to hear that. But if you're the partner that's reading all this stuff, that's listening to me and Jimmy, that's actively working on this stuff, it's okay to be the one who makes the first step. Because when I would say, hey, I called you 7 times in a row earlier, that wasn't very cool of me. Mm-hmm. Me being able to step into that vulnerable place and admit how I had done something wrong made it feel safe for him to go, man, I should have just called you back. I should have just called you back, right? The first time. That's and I know this is where some folks would be like, well, I shouldn't have to make that first step. You know what? Don't then. Trash the relationship and find a new one. Or 100%. Just be the person who makes the first step. It's not that bad. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to be the person.
Yeah, It's usually the anxious partner. Sorry, guys. But when we do, man, it feels good when they say, you know what? I should have called you back.
Oh, it feels so good. I love that moment when it's great, when you take accountability and then they match your accountability. Mm-hmm. I wish that for every couple. I wish that you could just both I just wish that I follow this one pastor, and he talks about relationships being like a selfless competition. He's like, I just want you. He's like, I just want you both to be in a selfless competition. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you think of yourself as less. It just means I want to serve you. And the other person's like, well, I'm going to serve you too. We're going to think about this relationship. We're going to put the relationship as a whole, above ourselves. And how can we serve the relationship, which probably means serving your partner in the areas that they feel loved and valued most. And that was, I want an accountability. I want a competition. You know what I mean? I want you guys to both out accountability each other. I actually just made a funny
I'm sorry.
skit.
I'm more sorry.
Right? I just made a skit that's similar to that.
I don't know if it was a therapist or a content creating couple, but they were promoting, I think it was called the 80-80 relationship. And I just love the sound of that, because
I like that.
I know I have too many friends who talk about their relationship as if it's 50-50, and they're mad because their partner's operating at 20 or 30, they think. Yep. And they're only willing to go to the 50% mark, because why would they go with one step farther over 50% if somebody's slacking? But that's why I love this couple that's saying, hey, we advocate for the 80-80 relationship. We're both doing a little bit extra. We're both going over 50.
Absolutely.
And that helps pick up the slack when somebody...
You have to. And I love talking about the 80-80 or the 100-100. Some people say
I've heard
relationships
that too.
aren't 50-50, they're 100-100.
Yeah.
And what that means is not that you put in 100% of the effort all the time, because we're all going to have days. It just means I'm putting in 100% of my capacity.
And they pick up those the slack special ways that you contribute to the relationship, Jimmy, that are probably a little bit different than the special ways that your wife contributes to the relationship. I mean, at least for me and Chris, there's different things. that we
Yeah.
are good at and contribute. And it would be silly for us to expect the same exact amount of effort in ways that,
Yeah.
Chris is a masterclass in apologizing. He's so good at it. I don't know how it just blows my mind. I am quite bad at apologizing. It takes me a really long time to stop feeling mad. And it's hard for me to be the first person to walk into the room and go, I want this fight to be over. He's amazing at it. And if I would be so sad if he expected me to be every bit as good at him as that, because I probably never will be. It's not, I mean, I'm trying, but I'll never be as good at him as that. So it's his special skill that he contributes to the relationship in a really big way.
I like that.
I have some special skills that he will never be as good at, right? Like I'm very good at seeing what the problem is underneath the problem that we're discussing. He's pretty bad at that. I can say that with love. But we all have our special skills.
My wife is the same way.
Yeah, we all have our special skills. She has my skills. She can see what you guys are really fighting about.
My wife is the same way as Chris. Yeah.
Oh, she's the same way as Chris. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Where I'm like dissecting the problem from every level, and she's just looking
like a
at
scientist.
me like, she's like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're saying.
Right.
What am I supposed to do here? How can I make
Jimmy, in the movies when all the words and numbers are flying around people's heads, that's what's happening to me when we're having an argument, because I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on.
Oh yeah. I'm like, hold on. Let me think about this. And she's like, all right, is this argument over? Can I just leave? I'm like, hold on. No, I love that though. I forgot what I was actually going to say. So
but I was going to say he'll always be the first person to apologize afterwards, not me.
I remembered what I was going to say. I wanted to give advice for the distancer, for any distancers listening, because they, like what you said, sometimes it's going to be what makes you uncomfortable. It's going to come unnatural. Yeah, most of the time. So, but you just thinking about the relationship as a whole, as like, I want to prioritize and protect this relationship. Those words alone, oh my gosh,
those are good. Yeah,
those are good. Like if you don't know what to say, if you want to fill their love cup, but you're like, I don't know what to say, bro or sis, whatever. Just like that goes against most things like in your natural. But if you just be like, hey, I really want to prioritize and protect this relationship. Like, what are some ways that you think that
Jimmy, are you ready? Brace yourself. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
This relationship is really important to me. Boom. That's it. That's all you have to, have to say. That feels good.
Let's think about a couple of things that we could do that would like protect this relationship.
Oh my goodness. How good does that feel? Yeah. Bro, those are fantastic.
Those are great. Yeah. Just talk about it for 5 minutes. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying these need to turn into like giant, because I guess that's the fear. For an avoidant or distancer, they think if I bring something up, good Lord, we're going to spend the next hour on this. My wife, I don't mean to say this might just be because we're late on time and there's only 3 people listening. My wife, she will literally fall asleep if we talk about like intimacy and relationships for too long. Yeah. I have to keep those conversations short because she will literally
I'm so glad you said that.
Fall asleep.
I've put Chris to sleep with
100%.
With the it's a thing. So hey, that's work for the anxious partner too. We need to learn to button our lip after, and if it's been 45 minutes and they're actually still listening to you,
I've never gone for 45 minutes.
Wrap it up. You haven't? Oh, I've
not with her listening.
Yeah, right. Oh, I see.
You said if they're listening. Oh yeah. She's counting sheep, bro. Like there's nothing left over there.
No. Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, that's been some of my
those
work.
are the funniest stories. I look back at them now and I can laugh, but at the time I'd be upset because
I was enraged.
I was
that
enraged.
First snore. You know what I mean?
No. I wouldn't she wouldn't actually
asleep. It was a whole new fight, Jimmy.
What she would do is just start slow blinking while I was trying to. She would just start slow blinking, and I'd be like, "I'm sorry, are you?" It's like 4 p.m. I'm sorry, are you tired?
That's amazing.
Oh, it's just wild because in their brain they're literally exhausted.
Oh, they're exhausted. Yeah.
Like they're overwhelmed and exhausted by the sheer amount of what you're bringing to them. And all of a sudden it's amazing. Like it's not their fault that they're doing it, even though I still think it's insensitive.
Man, can I just apologize for all us anxious folks right now to the avoidance listening? We can really drag it out big time.
Oh yeah, no, I don't
But
drag
that's
it out
part
anymore.
of my work.
I'm like,
No,
I'm like
I don't
short and to the
either.
point. Yeah,
I don't either. I look for cues, right? If Chris starts slow blinking or heaven forbid snoring,
Bro.
I'm like, that's my sign that this conversation
That's the
is
sign
too long.
of so much love right there. If you're looking at your partner falling asleep while you're talking and you no longer get enraged, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this must be overwhelming for you. I'm going to go ahead and call it there.
Yes.
That's love. Like that's a
love.
new level of love. So yeah. So congratulations.
I love, this feels like the part where we start wrapping up a little bit. So I want to say,
Yeah.
I love getting emails where folks tell me that they are listening to this together. Man, that feels good. Just know
Oh,
that
yeah.
like an anxious and avoidant couple or just a regular couple who's just having regular relationship problems is listening to the podcast in the car and then having conversation about it afterwards.
So
That's why we do this. So folks, you can keep sending those emails all day long.
So
I read
true.
all of them, even if I can't reply. And it's fuel for the fire to keep creating.
Yeah. Send Ricky content ideas.
Please do. I want to apologize to the listeners for this big long pause that we've had. I think I mentioned several months ago that I was going through some stuff. I got some really sweet emails from people saying they hoped that things were going well. My father recently passed away. And so making content and especially filming podcasts was really difficult for me. But now that I am through that, now that that event has passed, I'm really looking forward to diving back into more of this stuff that I love so much, filming more with Jimmy and creating more content online. So thanks for noticing that I was sad, and thanks for the supportive emails, everybody. And I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. Well, I know on behalf of everyone, I say I'm so sorry for your loss. And I was privileged to be someone that you would call a friend during that time that you would, I really felt honored that you would share that with me. So I'm really grateful for that.
It was rough. I think it's, I'm getting to be a certain age, I think, where this stuff's going to start happening more. So this was my first experience with it, and it was tough, but it really makes the sweet part of life, which is hobbies and the things that I love to talk about and read about, like relationships. It kind of makes you appreciate them more too. So I'm thrilled to be back. So
yeah, well, we're here to support you in any way that we need to.
Another wonderful idea. It feels so bad dropping this on you in an episode, Jimmy, but somebody suggested that maybe we have a specific date where we release new episodes. And I thought that was a really good idea, even if that means that we hold on to one for a little while. Just make it regular and predictable. That could be
like the 15th and the 1st of every month or
something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that they know when to be looking for it. That could be cool.
It's a great idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll shoot for 2 a month. We'll because we should be able to do that.
I could totally handle that. Yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
I know the regular listeners are going, hooray, when they hear that. So
yeah.
I think. And the one-off people maybe come back on the 1st and the 15th. And
yeah, exactly. No, I love that. That's a good surprised. Idea. Yeah. My biggest problem, since we're getting to the end of the episode, I can be more vulnerable. Is sometimes I get so nervous about saying the same things over and over. I'm like, what are the new topics that we're going to cover that aren't going to be the same things that we've said? We're on 30 episodes. And so sometimes you just get scared, well, what am I covering that I haven't already covered? But then I remember that we all need to, we all need these things repeated over and over. We're
totally.
Yeah.
But also, audience suggestions have been great too. The emails that I get from the podcast, that people say, hey, you haven't covered this. Hey, you haven't covered this. Longtime listeners. So if you guys have suggestions for us, if there's something we haven't talked about that you want to hear,
what do you think we haven't covered?
We really do. Oh, there's a ton. Oh, I'll share with you after the episode, but I've got emails stored up of folks saying, hey, there's this. Some of the topics get a little bit more specific, but I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think we've done pretty well with the general stuff, but sometimes it's fun to dive into the specifics. People like to hear that too.
I like controversial stuff too. I like when we disagree on stuff, too. Yeah. Because some of this stuff isn't black and white. There's some stuff that we're always going to agree on stuff. We're always going to agree on Gottman and Sue Johnson where there's not a lot of controversy, but I like what we do disagree on nonviolent communication sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's probably some other stuff that we disagree on.
Oh, for sure there is. Maybe I'll look for it, because I think we're very similar in a lot of ways, you and I.
Yeah.
But we're also different in some ways too, and I can find those, and we can have
Yeah.
some interesting conversations about them.
Yeah, I wonder. We're both willing to like hold ourselves accountable to areas that we need to work on. So I'm trying to think of like things that we disagree on. The nonviolent communication one was a great one.
That was a great one.
Yeah. So we'll have to find some more areas like that.
I'll be looking. I had somebody sent in an email, and it was so sweet. They were like, I love it when you guys disagree because you're so respectful with each other about your differences. And I need to see that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that we're modeling ways that you can still be connected with somebody and have a different opinion, which is the whole world could use some more of that.
That's the whole kit and caboodle. Like, I care about Ricky as a friend. And so I can hold space for whatever whatever her perspective is. Yeah. I love that.
I don't need Jimmy to be exactly the same as me and think exactly the same as me for him to be my friend that I care about.
Yeah. And like for people that are wondering, like Ricky and I, we've spent countless hours together, and we've never even really gotten into like our political beliefs and stuff like that.
Never.
Because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't feel like it matters. It's right. That's not what our friendship is based on and about.
Yeah. Because I would like you regardless.
Exactly. That's it. That's it right there, Jimmy. It doesn't matter to me what you think about any of that stuff, because you're my friend. I'm not here to have a political discussion with you. I'm here to talk about something that we both care about.
And some people, of course, would say, "Well, that's not good." Like
some people would say that,
but we're just not those types of divisive.
Yep, those aren't my people.
Like that's just not who we are. We don't want to let that kind of stuff influence our friendship. Like we don't.
I don't want to alienate people either. Yeah. Like I can still care about so many people regardless of.
Yeah. My whole thing is like I won't let the division. I know that that's exactly where that path takes us. Like that, us thinking everything is so black and white, there's no gray area. And sure, there's some things where there's no gray area. I get it, but I'm just not going to let that stuff take over, because it divides. I mean, it'll break up friendships, and I'm like, I'm just not going to let families get broken up with it.
I think connection is so important to you and I that we wouldn't let something like that get in the way of, what I mean? I want to connect with people. So
anyway. It's not a priority either for what we're trying to do. Like we know the vision, like we're pretty clear on the vision of this, of this thing. And once you start integrating politics where it's just like, okay, hold on. It's like, no. That doesn't align with the vision. Like the vision is helping people in their relationships. The vision is like growing a secure sense of self. The vision is, what does connection and love mean in a relationship? And if that's one of your boundaries,
that's my topic.
We're all about it. Like, hey, don't date people of the opposite political, 100%. Don't, we would agree with that, but we're not in the business of just like, oh, we're only talking to certain people because because those people are bad. And those people, no. We're way too smart for that. Like,
we're here for everybody in this podcast too, I think. Yeah. I mean,
because relationships are first and foremost. The people that need the most help in relationships is politics. I mean, good Lord.
Boy, that's true.
They need this information more than anybody.
Yeah. Boy, can you imagine a political conversation where two people tried to empathize with each other and understand what was important to the other person, and be a totally different conversation?
No. I know the damage of ignoring this stuff. Wars are started throughout history. Because people refused to learn the skills that we're trying to learn about and that we're passionate about. I mean, these things have plagued the human race. So I'm not gonna perpetuate that. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
So signing off, Ricky and Jimmy, for world peace and communication. Thanks for being with us, guys, and we'll see you very soon. Maybe check back on the 1st or the 15th.
Absolutely.
Might be a new episode.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye.